Today, we're going to talk about getting in the right mental mindset to buy a house. A lot of times people go, I'm just going to fall in love and I'll know. Those are the people I see burn out before they get to the finish line. So if you're not familiar with the channel, I am a mortgage lender. I've been a mortgage lender for 15 years. I'm licensed in 48 states. I would love to do your mortgage. And my team's one of the top purchase teams in the country. So we work with a lot of buyers. And what I can tell you is that the buyers that are mentally prepared for this journey do the best. The ones that burn out and end up renting again, then they come back, they end up renting again, then they come back, they end up renting again. It's because they haven't mentally prepared for the journey, okay? First things first, buying a house is not fun. It's not. It's totally not fun. It's stressful. You're gonna have lots of doubts. You're gonna be afraid. You're gonna be excited. It's like take all of your emotions and put them on crack and times it by 1,000. It is not a fun time. And that's what no one really tells you guys. They're always like, imagine living in your own house. Imagine the freedom, the joy. It's gonna be so much fun to shop. Let's go shopping. Yeah, guys, okay. Let's be real about this. When you guys are thinking of purchasing a house, like, look, should there be some romance to it? Yeah, but that's really what happens after you close, okay? When you guys are looking at buying a house, the best way to approach it is as a business decision, okay? I always joke with my husband that there's two sides to people, the emotional side and the business side. And the last thing I want to deal with is the emotional side. Okay, if I'm making a business investment, if I'm making an investment, if I'm spending money, okay, I don't care if it's a pack of gum. This person, this emotional Jennifer, she needs to go in a box and she needs to stay there. Anytime your wallet, your money's coming out, you need to use the business version of yourself. And with houses, I can't stress that enough. It is a huge financial commitment. It is also a commitment that's going to be with you for a while. So you do not want to fall into the emotional element. And the reason is if you're emotional, you can be manipulated. I know, that's terrible, but it's true. And look, I hate saying this, but like, there's a lot of real estate agents and there's a lot of mortgage lenders. They're not thinking about you long term. They're not even thinking about their career long term. They're thinking about a quick buck. And if you're emotional, you are easier to manipulate, period. Google it, Psychology 101. So you're gonna go into business mode, okay? Now look, the first thing I always suggest with business mode is you need to be fully pre-approved and underwritten before you start shopping, period. Do not go look at houses until you have been fully pre-approved and underwritten. Don't. And people go, well, Jen, I'm gonna get pre-approved after I find the house. What? Who makes a business decision like that? Like, who says, I'm gonna go find a car and then I'll see if I can afford it? Wait, what? What? You know what the scary part is? People actually do that with cars. Another terrible idea. That is the problem with our country right now. People are just figuring out that they want to buy something and then they're doing the math later. So you guys are going to do your math first. You're going to get pre-approved, fully underwritten, and this is critical, you need to make sure the lender you're working with is going through what to expect with payment and closing costs. And if they just send you a sheet and say best of luck, you're gonna dump them and call me. If they won't talk to you about closing costs in detail, you're gonna dump them and call me. If they won't talk to you about payments, should we say it together? You're gonna dump them and call me, because that is what a good lender does. They financially prepare you for your business investment. A lender who's just giving you a letter and telling you to go shopping, they're trying to kick you to the emotional side. That's right. They're not giving you any numbers. You can't even make a business decision if you don't have numbers. They're counting on the emotional to get them a paycheck. Emotional is the enemy, okay? So you're fully pre-approved, you're underwritten, you understand your closing costs, you understand your payment, and you understand if you need to negotiate with the seller to pay the closing costs. Great. Now what? Now you look for a real estate agent. Yeah, now you look for a real estate agent. Now look, if a family member or a friend recommends a real estate agent, even if you love them more than anything in the world, double check. Check reviews. I think it's a good idea to interview a couple agents. You can do that. A lot of times people are so intimidated by real estate agents, but guys, what you need to know is that they're there to help you, okay? So I think people just go with someone's recommendation because they just don't want to, they just feel like it's safer. And from what I see, it's not. Sometimes the recommendations that maybe they were great with your cousin, but they're terrible now. Or maybe they've only sold 3 houses in the last 4 years. That's not going to get you, business you, a good deal. The business you knows that the person you hire as your real estate agent needs to be a market expert. They need to know how to negotiate. They need to know what the house is worth. They need to know what to look out for in terms of, problems with the house. And sometimes, I'll hear a real estate agent say, well, that's not my job. What? I'm not kidding, guys. I had a real estate agent that told a client, she went, well, it's not my job to tell you what to offer. It's your job to tell me what you want to offer. What? It's literally their job to look at what the comparable sales are and give you suggestions on what you should offer and then back that up with data. That's literally their job. But so many real estate agents don't know that. They literally think their job is to open the door and go, granite. Funny story. A client had a listing agent that recently said his countertops were granite when they weren't. So sometimes they don't even know that. So you're gonna pick a real estate agent that's an expert, period. Look at Google reviews, look at Yelp reviews, look at what people are saying about them because that will tell you how they treat you. Okay. And then interview a couple, have a couple buyer consults. And if an agent says, I'm not going to do a buyer consult with you unless you work exclusively with me, that doesn't mean they're good. It just means they know they probably won't win in a competition, so they're trying to lock you down. And I see that. There's certain states where there's a buyer's agreement and they try to get you guys to sign it before they even show you a house or before they even talk to you. I would never do that in 10 million years. Never. And the good agents that I know, even in the states with the buyer's agreement, they generally are doing a buyer's consult, really talking to you and making sure, because it's not just about you hiring them. They have to want to work with you too, meaning that you guys have to be able to communicate and come to realistic expectations. An agent that will just work with anyone, even if they're completely unrealistic, that's not going to be a top agent. And you can test them sometimes, you could have some fun with it. If looking on Zillow, that for $500K, you're not gonna get a house, maybe it's a condo or a townhome. There's certain parts of America like that. Tell them that, you wanna buy a house for $400. See if they correct you. See if they say, hey, look, that'd be great, but you'd have to look in a different area. You really want someone who's gonna be honest with you about the reality of the market, okay? Very important. Now, if you talk to someone and they're just playing on the emotional part, that's not who you want to work with, guys. It's not who you want to work with. So remember, this is a business decision. This is a big financial obligation. And sometimes people go, oh, well, if I don't like it, I can just sell it. Guys, that's not always an option. If you buy a house at an overly inflated price because the real estate agent you're working with is playing off your emotions, doesn't know how to pull comparable sales, and you want to sell it, best of luck. It's not going to be worth what you paid for it. So you really want to be careful. Okay, so you have your expert, you're going through houses. What should you be prepared for? Be prepared to be catfished. Yep. Be prepared, guys. So a lot of times the house, when you actually go to see it, it doesn't look like the pictures at all. At all, and you need to understand that just as, when I film a short, I use a filter. I'm not putting on makeup, forget it. They do that with houses. Yeah, wide angle lenses. They can make a dungeon look like a castle. Photoshop is real, it's there. There's digitally entered furniture. there's lots of way to manipulate the pictures, so you definitely want to make sure you're actually seeing that house. If you're an out-of-state buyer, you want to make sure that your real estate agent's doing a virtual tour, meaning that they're walking through the house with you with their phone, filming it so that you can see it, and you want to make sure they're being very honest about everything. Also look for fun stuff. Like, one that always cracks me up is if I go in a house and there's multiple candles burning. I don't think that's good ambience. I know they're trying to hide a smell. So you want to go through these houses and don't go through it starry-eyed, okay? I have a story about that, but don't do that. You're going to want to go through these houses and look for the problems, okay? You can fall in love later. Look for the problems now. It's kind of like dating. Like, everyone would be a lot better off if they went for the red flags first instead of the emotions. So look for the red flags. Are there leaks? Does the roof look really old? Is there water puddling right there? Does it look like there's a leak in the bathroom? Why is there mold? Look for that, okay? Remember, your business, not emotional. Okay, so great. You're going to go through the houses. You're going to check out a bunch. You're going to find one at some point where you're like, I want to make an offer. Great. I hope you guys have driven by there a couple times if you're local to the area. The reason I say that is because if I was going to be writing an offer after everything I've seen over the last 15 years, I would be driving past that house at night. Yeah, I would. I want to know what's happening next door. I know. Here's the thing. You can't get rid of bad neighbors, guys. You can't. And they can ruin your quality of life. I'm sure there's lots of people who have horror stories about bad neighbors, but it's a thing. Also, if you find out that at 8 o'clock the house next door becomes a party house, do you want to live there anymore? No, I don't, right? So you're going to drive by the house a couple times. You're going to write your offer. Before you write your offer, you're going to check in with your lender. If it's me, check in with me. Let's go over rates. Let's go over payment again. It's 2023. Rates are changing a lot. It's a good idea to check in with your lender and make sure you're still comfortable with the payment. It could be a situation where now that rate that you liked that was no points, meaning you weren't paying extra money for it, now it costs 1 point, which means 1% of the loan amount. So before, maybe you weren't asking the seller for closing costs, but now you are. So check in with your lender before you write the offer, okay? So you write the offer. Now what? Okay, so normally what happens is you are on pins and needles. It is horrible. It's basically like, imagine you have a crush on someone in high school. Remember how crazy your emotions were in high school? Oh my goodness. It's like that. And imagine if you put a note in your crush's locker telling them that you loved them and asking them if they will date you. Yeah, think about that. What would that feel like? That's what writing an offer on a house feels like. That is what it generally feels like. So you're going to want to know that that's what happens and go, high school emotions, not doing it. And just know, like, look, it could take the seller a day or two to get back to you. It could take them an hour, depending on the seller. A lot of sellers' initial reactions, no. That's it, no. Sellers can be very emotional as well. I can tell you as a seller, I'm the worst. I am so emotional, the worst. So I always have to remind myself, business, Jennifer, business, right? So make sure you guys are prepared for that. Don't start buying furniture for the house when you write the offer. Don't look at the pictures 900 times while you're waiting for the offer to be accepted or rejected. Go do something else. Go do anything else. Go on a treadmill, watch a movie, run outside, go to the beach, get in a pool, get away from your phone and get away from the pictures. Okay, because it's not going to make your offer accepted any quicker, and it's just going to make you crazy. So your offer gets accepted. Fantastic. That's where all the fun starts. Now, if your offer doesn't get accepted, then you're probably going to feel really depressed, sad, I give up, this is bullshit, how did this not work? There's a lot of emotions that can happen if you're in that emotional stage. If it's business, okay, that one didn't work out, let's go on to the next, right? Sometimes houses reject you, and then a couple months later they call and they're like, hey, are you still there? We need an offer, okay? So try to stay away from the emotional and just go with the business mode of moving on to the next house, okay? And I'm gonna do a second part to this because I don't want this to be too long of a video, but the key thing is throughout the entire home buying process, you're gonna wanna make sure that whenever you start feeling that emotional part of you coming into play, you stop. okay? Because look, with writing offers, if this person's in charge of your checkbook, they're gonna offer a lot more. They might waive contingencies. They might gaslight themselves into a bad financial decision because they're being emotional. If this person's in charge, right, you're gonna make a better long-term financial decision. So I'll do a part 2 to this of how to control your emotions once you're in contract. Questions, comments, has this happened to you? You know, how have you battled the emotions, or did you just ride with them? You know, I see it every day. I talk people down every day. So it is something we're very used to, but you know, the more you guys can stick over here, the better experience you'll have. Thanks for watching.